Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of my Skyrim modding series. In this video, we are going to cover how to install an ENB, and more importantly, how to pick the right ENB for you. Of course, I will be installing the ENB that I am going to be using for my playthrough, which I find is probably the best ENB out there, but there are a lot of good ones. Many people might consider better than the one I am going to install. Now, regardless of what ENB you elect to pick, I am going to try to make my installation process as general as possible to try to encompass all ENBs. You will, of course, want to always consult the installation instructions by the mod author for the installation of your ENB in case there is differences from the procedure that I'm going to show you. So let's go ahead and talk about how to pick the best ENB for you. Now, most of you are probably wondering, well, in fact, I know that you're wondering, how the heck are you supposed to pick the proper ENB? To be honest, there isn't any one answer to that. There are many great ENBs out there by talented mod authors. So what you really need to do is you need to look at it like you're buying a new car. You have to find the one that has all the features you want, offers the color that you want, and something that you will be comfortable behind the keyboard, so to speak. Now, this here on the Nexus mods, this is the top list of all the ENBs within the Nexus. The Real Vision, the Project ENB, etc., etc. All these are very, very important, and they're all beautifully done. So what you need to do is let's go ahead and just click on the Real Vision ENB. This one is the most endorsed on the Nexus. Now, what you probably want to do is, at first you want to get the flash over with. You want to click on the screenshots and be like, holy crap, that looks pretty badass. Or you want to scroll through and look at some more pictures. Now, this is a good way to tell if the ENB for you offers a coloring that is too dark, too saturated, too much depth of field, which, by the way, is often changeable via configuration files. Now, this particular ENB uses a little bit of an older ENB version versus, say, the one that I'm using. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't run well. Chances are it runs just fine. Now, this particular mod author offers a list of recommended mods that will make your game look fairly much like hers. As you can see, there is a slew of different ENBs to choose. And this can be a very daunting task to find the one that is just right for you. Now, it has been a long time for me to find the ENB that I want to use. And I have found that in the Vivian... This is actually a surprisingly hard word to say. Vividian. Vividian ENB. I hope I'm even saying that right, or I'm going to sound like a fool. But regardless, this is the best one absolutely in every way to use. I wouldn't recommend anybody using any other personally, but that's just because it's my personal preference. I like how it looks. It has vanilla and an enhanced option, so you can choose either or. We're going to go ahead and download this sucker. So let's go to Files and download. Now, this should automatically open your mod organizer as soon as I can get unlazy and click all these buttons. Alright, now, this is going to go ahead and download, which it should be fairly quick. See, there we go, done. Now, if you don't have as swift as an internet as I do, because fortunately I live in the Midwest right now, so I got fiber, and it's beautiful. But anyway, go ahead and just minimize that because we are done with mod organizer for the time being. You can go ahead and close this as well, and in fact I'm just going to close this because we don't need it no more. Now, there are steps required to install the ENB files themselves, and we're going to go ahead and go into that right now. Now, the first thing we need to do, guys, is we need to download the base ENB file. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to the main homepage for the ENBs. It is created by a man named Boris. Now, Boris is probably one of the most important people in the modding community. If it wasn't for him, like the SKSE crew, modding Skyrim as we know it would not exist. So thank you, Boris, for all of your hard work and all your continued hard work into Fallout 4. So let's go ahead and scroll down to right here, to 0.305. We're going to click on that, and this is all about the changes over the various versions and some important things that you need to change within your Skyrim prefs INI. Now, I have already done this in the INIs I provided for download, so if you use those INIs, you don't have to worry about those changes because they are already made for you. So let's go down, all the way down here. As you can see, this guy is hard at work. My hat's off to him if I had a hat on. But my proverbial hat is off to you, Boris. So go ahead and click on download. It'll do its thing. And it is done. Now at this point, guys, I need you to click it open. Bada boom, bada bing. And you can go ahead and close this window because we no longer need it. Alright, go ahead and go to the wrapper version. I'm not even going to try to rap, sorry. I thought I could say something clever, but I can't. I can't. I'm musically challenged. Anyway, there's 3 files that you guys need to select. This one, the d3d9.dll, the enb host.exe, and the enb local.ini. Go ahead and right-click and just... we got to extract them first. I'm going to... just like, oh, my brain's not working. I'm going to extract them to my desktop in a new folder, and I'm going to call them ENB files because we need to have these readily available because we are going to make use of them rather quickly. So once that's open, you can close it, and then you can dump the trash if you need to. And open the ENB files, and you will see right here all 3 files ready to go for your use. Alright guys, and the next thing that we gotta do is we are going to download a special manager that will allow you to install and uninstall ENBs with ease, because the directories in which ENBs are installed are outside the purview of such programs as Nexus Mod Manager and Mod Organizer. So to avoid a giant cluster where you throw a bunch of files in and you're not sure which files belong to the ENB, so when you want to remove the ENB or upgrade the ENB or change the ENB, you're left with a mess to figure out for yourself, which can be confusing for a lot of people. So what we are going to do, we are going to download the ENB Manager and Changer. Now, of course, I will provide the link below. Also, the video here by Bro Jewel, it's right here on the webpage, is an excellent series that explains how to use the ENB Manager, and I highly recommend you watch it in tandem with mine. What I need you guys to do is go over here to Files as normal. And we are going to download this one right here. The ENB Manager and Changer, known working. It's always good when we know they work. Let's go ahead and let it download. Now, before I open this up, I want to let you guys know that you need to have Java installed. If you don't have Java installed in your system, which most of you should, but some of you may not, because this program is actually a Java-based program. And if you don't have Java, it will not open, or it'll oddly open as an archive file. So make sure you download Java, that you tested that you have Java working. And with that being said, just go to java.com and get it. Or java.net. What's one of the two? Google it. So let's go ahead and open up the ENB Manager. And here we go. We have the ENB Manager.jar, which is the Java file. So go ahead and extract this to where you want. I am going to put this in my Skyrim Programs folder. See, I already have an ENB Changer directory made for it. And just drop it right in there. There you go. And once you have accomplished that, go ahead and close the browser, because you don't need it open no more. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and peruse over to my Skyrim Programs folder where my ENB Changer is, and then go ahead and open it up. And it should look something exactly like this. So what we're going to do at this point is we are now going to set up the foundation for the new ENB. So what I need you to do is go over here to ENB version and click add. Alright, now once you have that open, we're going to navigate to this folder right here. So you need to go to your desktop, click on your folder, and we're going to add only 2 of the 3 files. We're going to add this one and this one right here. And go ahead and click on add. And then it'll ask you for a name. And as we know, this is ENB 0.305, so we can just call it 0.305 just to make it easy, and click on OK. And that stage is effectively done. Before we go on to anything more, we need to edit the INI file within here. So what I need you to do is open this folder and go to the enblocal.ini and click or open. Alrighty, as you can see here, we got a whole list of commands, but most of these you will not have to mess with. Fortunately, there's only a few that need to be changed. If you have an AMD video card, this right here, you need to put it to true. But if you have an NVIDIA, go ahead and leave it as is. You don't need to worry about it. You shouldn't need to change it at all. Now this one right here, the reserved memory size MB, which is right here, you want this at 512, regardless of how big your video card is. Just put it at 512. Now if you have a beefy video card, something that has, say, 6 gigabytes of RAM, go ahead and put this at 1024. This is what I'm going to use. Now, another important one here is your video memory size MB. Now, go ahead and delete this 2000 here because we're not going to use that. Now, what this is, this tells the game to use X amount of your VRAM for the textures in the game. Because by default, Skyrim actually use your VRAM and your RAM for the same textures. So it used an unnecessary amount of memory to accomplish the same thing. This makes it just use your VRAM. You know, it's faster. And hey, we all love things that are faster. But you're probably wondering, what the hell do you put there? What kind of number do you put there? Well, there's an easy solution that avoids you having to use math. And don't we all love that? So welcome to the calculator for Skyrim. This is by Boris, of course, another amazing creation of his. It's called the VRAM size test. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on that and give her a download. Once it's downloaded, I, of course, will provide all the links for this down below so you guys don't have to sweat trying to copy this. And open her up once she's done. I can close this website. Now what you're going to do is you're going to extract these files to a folder of your choice. I am going to put these as the norm in my games utilities. VRAM test. I think I already have them in there, so I'll just copy over. It's not a big deal. And there we go. Now, once they are extracted, go ahead and navigate to that install directory. And you're going to run the VRAM size DX9. That's because Skyrim is a DX9 engine. So go ahead and open it up. As you can see here, it says video memory size 4064. If you're running Windows 7, take this number and minus 170. If you're running Windows 8 or 10, go ahead and minus 350. These are the recommended steps by the S.T.E.P project, so you know they're accurate. So go ahead and take 4064 and minus, for me, it's going to be 350, 3714. Boom. Alright guys, that's the number you should have for Windows 8 and 10 systems. If you have less than that, well, then you just take whatever number the VRAM program gave you and minus the 350 for Windows 8 and 10, and for Windows 7, minus the 170. All right, moving on. Now we're going to go down to threads. Make sure this is set at 0. You don't want this turned on. Okay, then we'll go down to the engine tab. Sorry if I'm going a little fast here. I'm just trying to keep pace for all you guys so it doesn't drag on and get outside the point, which might have been what I was just doing. So under engine here, what you want to do is you want to enable the VSync to true. So go ahead and set true. Now I have a habit of saving after every change. That's just my habit. You don't necessarily have to do that. Now the limiter here, this, because we know Skyrim, when you run over 60 frames per second, it goes absolutely bananas. If you have no other way to limit your frame rate and Skyrim is just chugging along over 60 once the game is fully modded, you can go ahead and set this limiter to tone it down. What you would do is you would set this at true and set this one to say 59. And the next place we're going to is down here at Anti-Aliasing. Now we're going to set the edge AA to true. and the subpixel AA also to true. This is to give us this nice smoothness on our graphics that Skyrim is just very, very bad at on its own. And then down here at fixes, we're just going to toggle one of these here, and that's fix parallax bugs. Right, no, I'm sorry, fix parallax terrain. Right here, into true. And once you do that, you can go ahead and save. And that's it. That's all the changes we're going to make to the ENB local.ini file. So we can go ahead and just give it a close. Alright. And at this point, with our tailored INI, we can actually add it to our ENB setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to new right here. And it's going to ask for the name of the ENB. Now you can give it any name you want. ENB1, ENB Alpha, My ENB, whatever. I'm just going to call it Vividian ENB and leave it at that. Just click on OK. So now we're going to start adding some files to it. So you go ahead and click add, and it should automatically navigate to the last place you opened, which was this folder here. And now we're going to add our ENB local.ini. Boom. It is added and done. Now real quick before we pull this program aside is make sure your Skyrim Direct button here is linking directly to your install of the game. So go ahead and go over to wherever the game is installed. Click, 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 click. Do all your things. Skyrim, set, boom, done. Do not hit this activate button at this time. We are not activating the ENB. We still have a few changes and additions we need to make. So at this point, you can go ahead and just either close it or pull the ENB Manager aside. For we are going to go back to Mod Organizer. Oh, we can close this too. In fact, if you want to, you can get rid of these, but I'm just going to leave them there until we're done. So let's go to Mod Organizer, open it up. We're in our Skyrim Reborn profile. Go to Downloads, and we're back with the Vividian ENB that we acquired earlier. So let's go ahead and double click and open her up. There we go, and we're going to go with Custom Install. So now, some of these installations that I'm going to do is going to vary based on how you're going to set up your game. This is just how I am going to, so you really need to do your research and determine if how I'm doing it is exactly how you're going to do it. Because you might want to use a different weather mod than I'm going to use. You might want to use a different power setup of the ENB. So that's just something to bear in mind as I go through this. I will do my best to explain this to you. But now, it is always better to do the custom install, not these quick installs. So just please do custom. It's always better to do everything that way. So let's click next. Now there are two kinds of ENBs available. There is your vanilla ENB and your vivid ENB. The vanilla ENB maintains the basic colors and look and feel of the vanilla game, but with all the enhancements of the ENB itself. The smooth shadows, the better texturing, the anti-aliasing. It just gives you a vanilla feel that is far superior to that of the stock game. If you like the way vanilla looks and you don't like the game to look a little too high fantasy, then that is the good one to choose. Now the vivid one is the one I'm going to go with. It adds a bit more color to the vanilla landscape and makes everything seem richer and a little more lively versus the drab, cold appearance that the vanilla ENB gives. Now don't get me wrong, the game still feels cold, especially with some of the mods that we are going to install with it. But just overall, I like the depth and the visual masturbation that the ENB Vivid file gives me. So we're just going to go with that one. And for the lighting options, we're going to go with no change. Now, the performance options, I always recommend going with default. The high quality version is great for screenshots, but that's it. Even on a powerful system, the high quality version really chugs down your FPS. I would just recommend going with the default. It still looks fantastic. But if you have a lower end system and you're iffy about even the strength of the default, you can go with performance, which has a few features disabled, but the game still looks phenomenal. So I'm just going to go with the default. Sharpening options I always keep on default. The smooth looks too fuzzy to me, and the sharpen just looks way too penciled in. So I'm just going to stick with default. Let's go to next. Go ahead and leave all these unchecked. You don't really need any of these. If you're curious about what they do, you can hop over to the website and find out. Now, the depth of field options, I'm going to keep it on no change. The reason being is, for my own playthrough, once I start playing, I turn depth of field off. Gopher has a great dynamic depth of field, which I may utilize. I'm not sure yet. But in general, for some reason, my eyes just don't like depth of field in a game. So we're going to go ahead and go to next. You want these two checked as they are by default. Now you're going to check the Wearable Lanterns preset. That's because we are going to utilize Chesco's Wearable Lanterns mod. It is one of the greatest mods out there. But I do say that about all these mods that I absolutely worship. So let's go ahead and have both of these checked. We're going to want these done. And click next. We're not going to install this from here. They have an independent version of this, which we may utilize. I'll have to read more into it, because I know it does chunk out a good amount of performance. So just click on no thanks for now, and if you're curious about what it does, you can hop over to their sites, find the information on this, and review it. Let's go ahead and go to next. Weather mods that I use, vanilla only. We're not going to use anything on this list. Do you use Climates of Tamriel? Yes, we are going to be using Climates of Tamriel because to me, it's my absolute favorite weather mod and outdoor lighting mod. It is just something I cannot imagine ever playing Skyrim without. The AOS is the audio overhaul for Skyrim. It's pretty good. There's just some things about it I don't like. I don't like the echo effect for talking that happens everywhere. It's just a little off-putting to me. So that's honestly the main reason why I don't use it. I am just going to click yes on this one without any of these others. I am not going to use the Somerset Isle mod for the playthrough, even though this looks pretty fantastic. I'll probably make a different profile to add this, because I do want to try it out. Let's go ahead and click next. Click yes. Let it do its thing. Alright, it is installed. At this point, you can delete or remove it from view, which is what I'm going to do. If we enable it, you will notice this little signs here that says, something's wrong. This basically means that the masters for these two are not installed. That's because we do not have Climates of Tamriel installed yet, and we do not have Wearable Lanterns installed yet. So just uncheck those two things, because we're going to not use them right now for testing, but we are going to use them later. So I'm just going to go ahead and reorder these how I like manually. So there we go. That's how I'm going to have it right now for testing and for the setup. Eventually, once we get to setting up the weather mod and the lantern mods, we will enable these and merge actually these patches together. Now that we got the Vividian installed and all that seems to be okay, we're going to go ahead and jump back to our ENB Manager right here. And now it's time to add the final files. So we're going to go ahead and make sure it's on the ENB that we created here and that this is present. Go ahead and click add, and you're going to navigate to your Skyrim install directory. Or if you installed Mod Organizer in a different place, you have to navigate to that install. Now what we're going to do is click on Mod Organizer. We're going to go ahead and go to mods, to our Vividian install right here, and to the ENB install files under this directory. Now what you're going to do is you're going to select both of these and click add, and boom, there you go guys, the ENB is complete. Now there's only one step left to do. That's to click the big old fat activate button. So go ahead and give it a click. Should copy everything over, may take a second, and there you go. Now before we boot up the game to test it out, you can navigate to your Skyrim install and make sure that everything is installed correctly. As you can see, the ENB series file folder is now here. Let's see, the DLLs are present. The ENB local, ENB series is there. So yeah, it looks like we are good to go. So at this point, guys, let's go ahead and you can close this if you want, or you can leave it open. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to close it. All right, now go ahead, guys. go to SKSE here and run Skyrim. Alright guys, here we are in game. Now you may notice up there in the upper left hand corner the various text that's floating up. That is letting you know that the ENB is working and everything is okay. If you do not see that, there is a problem. So let's just go ahead and jump into a game. Now you also, excuse me, boy, I shouldn't be drinking a Red Bull while I do this. Now you may notice that the game started up a bit slower. That is just the typical process of initiating the ENB. So at startup, you're just going to have to get used to that. It is not going to affect your in-game load time, so don't worry about it. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the vanilla game, just so you guys can see the difference between this ENB and the vanilla graphics. So here we are inside the game with our ENB activated. Let's jump around. As you can see, the game looks pretty nice, and this is without any additional texture mods, etc., plants, trees being added. Just running around. I am chugging along at about 70 to 80 frames per second. And just immediately you can tell just how much more in-depth everything looks, how vibrant the colors are, how everything just looks just amazing, like the kind of things you want to see in a fantasy game. Now if you got the vanilla version, it will still look this nice, except the colors won't be as rich. So let's go over here. See that blur? I need to get rid of it. That is depth of field. See, I'm looking at the rock, but if I get close to the tree, the rock blurs out and the tree comes into focus. You talking smack, lady? Come on. I will put an arrow in your chin. There you go. Right in the chin. Oh, roll off. Rail off. I just called him roll off. Rollade. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, 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 rude. Mama. I love messing around. Can't get me. Can't get the guy.
I'll show you a real.
No, you can't. Oh, I'll show you too, fool. As you can see, the performance with the ENB is not bad. Was I abandoned? Rayloft abandoned me.
I'll show you what a real orc can do.
I'll show you what a real orc can do. Versus a fake orc. Whoa. Okay. Before I get too carried away here, guys, this is pretty much what a good ENB looks like. As you can see, it's smooth. There's no stuttering. Everything seems to be going pretty copacetic right now, so I am happy with this setup. Now I probably will disable the depth of field because that is just my preference. I don't generally like playing with it. So, yeah. Oh, that's it. That's it. I'm going to go all axe on you. Let me ask you a question, right? Oh, what? Hey, let me... That's it, bandit. There we go.
I won't leave Skyrim alive.
Ooh, I leveled up. Look at that. Okay, where are you? Ooh. Bye-bye, sister. Bye-bye. Okay. Let me give you a leg up. Thank you. Alright, guys. As you can see, the ENB is working. It looks great. Let's go ahead and jump back to the desktop. Now, if you guys have any problems running the ENB setup, following the instructions that I gave you, what you need to do is undo everything that we have done and start all over and see if perhaps that you missed a step. If you know you did everything right and you're still having problems, feel free to comment below and I'll try to help you as I can. But if you used a different ENB than the one that I used here, you're best contacting the mod author himself by posting on the Nexus page for the mod and requesting some assistance. You can also hop over to the S.T.E.P project forums and get help there. Most of the people there are very helpful and they know what they're talking about. There's a lot of avenues for help that you can go within this community. Alright guys, that's all for today for the ENB setup. I hope you guys had fun and I hope now your game looks fantastic. From this point onwards, it's all about mod installs. Now I won't be going over every single mod that I'm going to install for my playthrough because that's too many of them. The series would be way way too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on sections and kind of give you guys a speed run through how I'm going to set up my characters. Now for more complicated mods, I will be going into detail on those. Basically the mods that I think you absolutely should use, I am going to do a video for. Everything else is pretty much up to you, because truly the best tool in your modding of Skyrim is yourself. Educating yourself, experimenting, learning to use these profiles, all that kind of stuff to get it right. In fact, what you can do is this: with the Skyrim Reborn profile that I made, if you made something similar, you can actually make multiple files, multiple profiles. See, I got a personal build that I'm working on. This is going to be for my private playthrough. What this is that you can make an experimental build. Therefore, your setup files, your INI files, all of that will be isolated to that one testing build. So you can go crazy with learning mods, learning different configurations, just having fun, because in the end, modding for me is probably more fun than playing the actual game. I know that sounds weird, but for me it is. In fact, of all the probably 700 plus hours I have put in the Skyrim, I promise you a good 300 plus of that is just been for modding purposes. So I know it's bananas, but that's just the way it is. Alright guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Please join me. I am just thrilled to be getting closer and closer to the playthrough. For the playthrough, in fact, I'm going to make a video of this that I'm going to post after this one, and I want all of you guys' opinion on what I'm going to talk about. I think it's an interesting idea. All right, guys, this is Taylem, and I will see you later.
Good job!